Hello, welcome everyone to the Authentic as Fog podcast. My name is Sun. I am a marketing and storytelling coach. This podcast, we talk to real entrepreneurs and we answer questions about storytelling, marketing, branding, personal branding, and things like that. Welcome. Hi, Alexandra. Hey, Rob. Good to see you, everyone. M. Chu. Okay, so our first guest, we have Marco. Hi, Marco. How are
Hello,
you?
I'm good. How's it going?
Good. How are you? Good to see you. So let's start with where you're from and what you do, and then your question.
Yeah, I'm from Italy and I'm a retoucher. So I work in the photography industry. And I started freelancing 4 or 5 years ago. And yeah, so
And what do you have a question or
yeah, I would like
okay?
to ask for help for this week assignment, which is
Okay.
the most difficult one by
Okay. What
far.
do you have so far? So this just to kind of catch everybody up. With for the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and this upcoming, we're working on a brand story, and we started out with trying to think about our weakness slash strength and how like our unique differentiator, how we do business differently than anyone else, right? And then this week we want to tie all of that to a story. So what do you have so far?
Okay, I realized that my weakness strength is that I'm super selective. I've become super selective when it comes to client and new projects and so on.
Okay.
And it's fine. So I think there's potential to elaborate more, but at the same time, I feel a bit stuck because I feel a bit unsure about a couple of things. So being selective with clients and with new jobs is just too vague, just too broad. So I started to think more about it and I realized that, okay, I just want to work. It could be two separate things. I just want to work with people that I find interesting, or I just want to work on projects that I find interesting.
Got it.
But then, since I cannot really pinpoint,
What those are.
yeah, exactly, I find it, of course, difficult to elaborate and to find the perfect backstory and the story and, of course, the mission afterwards.
Okay. So what I want to do is, okay, there's actually a lot of moving parts here if you think about it, right? Because there's a strength and weakness, which is kind of your personality, and then like how that personality manifests negative, like like an example of something that happened in your life where this personality affected you negatively, and then an
Mhm.
example of how it affected you positively, right? So there has to be connecting dots there, and another connecting dot has to be, okay, what is it about that personality that makes you do things differently than other photographers, for example, right? Okay, now, and then we have to tie all of that to, because my personality is like this and this is what happened to me, that's why I do what I do, you know?
Yeah.
So all four of these things has to be somehow tied together, right? Let's start with one of them. Um,
I can
so
give you a bit of backstory if you want.
okay,
Yeah.
let's
So
do it.
I started to do photography in the first place, and then I become a retoucher and so on. But for I don't know, since when I was 25, 26 years old, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life still.
Okay.
So I wasn't interested um, in school and the stuff that I was studying in school. Same thing happened during university, and of course, this kind of feeling kept going during every type of I don't know, seasonal job or minor job that I did during the years. And I always felt this kind of sensation that it was just terrible, where, okay, I know that I'm valuable, that I'm a smart person, but I really cannot do anything with it. So it's really difficult for me to be to have hope, I would say, even though it probably it's a strong word in this case.
Mhm.
But this is why I felt. This is the way I felt. And I remember the day I graduated. So I had partied with friends and so on, and and it was a lot of fun. But I remember that when I got back home, I started crying. A lot of people said, "Okay, my graduation day is the best day of my life," and so on. And it was the complete opposite for me, because I thought, okay, what am I going to do now? Because I do not have the certainty of doing something next. Could be another exam, could be graduation, taking
Mhm.
classes, and so on. And so I always had this type of feeling that it was like terrible for me. And so when I discovered photography just by accident, I just went 100% on it, and then I started to do my business, and I started to learn to be also more confident, I would say. So yeah.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
I really like the part about the part about your graduation story, because like I think there's something there, like because like they say some prisoners, like they've been in prison for so long, like they feel that when they leave they're actually afraid to leave, because they're in this comfort zone of like every kind of routine and everything, like knowing exactly what's going to happen and all of that, right? But I would keep digging there. But
Mhm.
for the sake of this assignment, maybe this is not your brand story, but I think it's still going to help you. Let's put this on the shelf for now, the story that you told me, and I want to ask you, what's something that you see like in your industry, other photographers and things that you do, like, okay, one thing you said is like you only want to work with certain clients, right? So let's go deeper into that. Why? What is it about these other clients that you don't like, that bothers you?
This is a good question, because I think that since we are talking about artistic stuff, it's pretty understandable that you're not a good match for everyone, and the same applies for your clients. And it would be like useless and probably detrimental to deal with people that are not your people.
Let's keep one example, like when what happens when somebody's not a good match?
There are for sure problems when it comes to communication. So it's difficult to have a good grasp of what they intend to do and what they would like to achieve in terms of since you're a photographer, you're a toucher,
You
you
figure
need
it out.
to complete the photographer's vision.
Yeah.
And so if the client's vision is completely different from
Got
yours.
it. Okay. So it's like yeah, it's like a difference in vision, difference in, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Um, I mean, I think that makes sense, right? Because I think for as any kind of artist or something like that, they're gonna feel that way, right? I'm trying
Mhm.
to dig in a little bit deeper into something that makes you unique, right? So that like other photographers, like that's not something that other photographers can use because it's so ingrained as part of you, right? So I'm gonna approach it a different angle. What is something in the photography industry, or like what photographers do, really bothers you?
This is a great question. Yeah. I mean, everybody just follow trends, when a lot of times if they would probably give themselves a bit more time to experiment and to try new stuff, it would be better. It would be better because they would find their unique style as well.
Mhm.
But sometimes, and this is, it can happen also when they reach out to retouchers like myself. If you have a good portfolio, that's it, and so you are eligible in that case to be to be like a provider, in this case post production retouching. But is that situation, is that the best kind of provider that you can get? Perhaps,
Mhm.
I'm not sure. So
Okay,
sometimes,
I think I know what you mean. Go
you
ahead.
know what, I just realized one thing.
Mhm.
There's a lot of photographers that try to change the way the appearance of their work through retouchers and through post-production artists. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Okay. Yeah. So in that case, I mean, it's just forcing to do a change and adjustments, but that's not the right place, I would say. This
Mhm.
type of transition, this type of adjustments and change just need to come from experience and experimenting and so on. And a lot of times, because of course, especially at the beginning, when I was like accepting any kind of jobs, I was accepting any kind of job, so there wasn't like a real thought process in it. So they, in that case, they were just kind of shopping around, seeing if I contact somebody, it can elevate my work or can maybe twist my
Wait, so
work.
are you a photographer or a photo retoucher?
I started as a photographer, and then since, I don't know, 2018, 17, I'm just a retoucher.
So
So
now you don't do
post-production.
any photography.
No.
It's just okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, like, I'm trying to kind of figure out the nuances here. I think I know what you mean, because I think when it comes to photo retouching, I think there's just some people who just overdo it, right? So it's almost like, like as a chef, like you're overwhelming with like artificial flavoring or something like this, something like that. It actually makes it bad, the quality of the photo bad, or something like that. Or are you saying that, okay, there's retouchers whose style is like these type of retouching versus this type of retouching, and you kind of have to know for your photo, you have to know what type of retoucher you need, or which one are you?
I think there's a third option where photographers try to modify their work, but they
Through
probably,
the retoucher?
yeah, exactly. Because of course you can achieve a lot in post-production, but at the same time, I mean, the best kind
Wait,
of
so
project.
they know, like they know their photo sucks, so they want it retouched?
I mean, I would say yes, but it's a bit more complex, because of course post-production and retouching is just the final step. So there's photographers that can light like a scene, that have a great production behind them, that styling and so on, but at the same time they're not super sure about the actual direction, so where to direct their
Okay.
images. In that
Okay.
situation they try to shop around, so they try different options and see if somebody can
They don't have
actually
their
help
own
them.
style. Like they
Mm,
don't have like a vision or something.
they're trying to define their style through this
Mhm.
process, I would say.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. And what type of photographers are that usually? Are they usually the ones that are more beginners versus experienced ones?
I would say yes, but at the same time, I know photographers that even if they are like in a good spot in terms of business and so on, they're still kind of acting this way.
Got
And
it. Got it.
yeah,
I guess it's probably, you know what, it's probably like how much how much pride they have in their work. Something like that versus like business. Do you know what I mean? Like, because some
Can you
photographers
expand a
it's
bit
just pretty
more?
much, some photographers it's like just business, right? Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
just,
absolutely.
and for
Yeah,
some photographers they're willing to make a little less money in order to make their vision come true, or like they actually have more pride in their work. Do you
yeah,
understand what I mean?
they
So I
care.
mean, if you've been working as a photographer for 20 years, right? And 20 years you've been doing this versus 20 years you've been doing this, like that's going to be a completely different client. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So okay. Um so you want to work with these type of clients, obviously. The
yeah.
ones that like, yeah. It's it's really, really like hard to explain. Let me ask you, what do you think is it about your personality that makes you want to work with those clients? Like, why do you care? Like, if this client says, "Okay, I'll pay you double," right? Like, why do you care?
Because I did it in the past, and I'm
Mhm,
still doing it sometimes. But at the same
mhm,
time, as you said, probably on Monday during our the live call, every time I do
mhm.
these type of things, I feel that I'm betraying myself.
Okay. So
And the
you,
actual reason,
even if they say, "I'm gonna pay you 10 times more," you still don't want to do it.
I mean, it's just a matter of time, because I'm not like super. Even though I say yes, the
Mhm.
next time that yes would be less certain, and again and again and again. So it's just a matter of time, and I already understood this type of thing for myself.
What do you mean less certain?
So if I say yes, okay, I'm gonna get money in the bank, so I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
take the project. Next time, I'm going to feel less certain. It's not going. It won't be enough. And this type of kind of conversation in my head is
Mhm.
gonna repeat again and again and again. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's what
it
I mean.
would
Yeah. So
just be
like
better
you're gonna be
to know
asking
right away.
yourself, like, was the money worth it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, because it just makes you
Especially
then
because of the
it
backstory
makes you
that I
that
told you.
unhappy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and the reason why I keep digging is because I know plenty of people out there, plenty of photographer who doesn't care. Like that doesn't make them unhappy.
Yeah.
Like they think of it as like, for example, you have to, like wash the dishes, right? You have to wash your car. You have to do these things that you don't want to do. That makes you unhappy, but you do it anyway, right? Like they think of it like that, right? They'll just do it. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
bother them. What do you think is it about you that it bothers you?
Because I feel that I wasted a lot of time in the past because I didn't know my path before. And it was tremendous for me to feel that way.
You don't want to waste time. You don't want
I don't
to.
want to waste time, but I actually want to love myself. It's not just a matter of time. It's a matter of,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you don't want to waste time doing stuff that you're unhappy with
yeah,
because you're just going to be mad at yourself
yeah,
for doing that.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And that's. I mean, I think there's something. Like I want you to keep digging. I don't think we're going to have the answer here, but I think now I'm starting to see the connection between when you said. I feel like for you finding that thing, having that thing, right? Because you felt so lost before, that having that thing is so important to you that when you found it through photo retouching, that you don't want to waste it by just doing meaningless retouching work. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like you do want to like. That's why like I think somehow like I see the connections there, right? But by telling that story, what it does is it makes me as a audience feel like, oh, okay, this guy this guy really doesn't want to work on stuff just for the heck of it. He actually like
Mhm.
he really wants to work on stuff that are meaningful to him, projects that are meaningful to him. And I can see that he really cares about his job, his craft, and he's not just doing this because he's getting paid, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's something about that, right? So the ultimate goal of the story that we're writing this week is to write a story that's going to make the audience feel like that. Well, like I believed him. I believe him. I believe that he really means what he says, like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, what is the story that's going to get you out? And I think there's something there. Maybe keep working at it, and then post it on Circle, and then I'll
Okay.
give you another feedback. Does that sound
Yeah.
good?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a very interesting story, and I want you to go a little bit deeper into the specifics, like you know,
I mean,
for
at
example,
the
like
end, I finally realized this mission for myself. But again, I think it's a bit too vague, and without a backstory and a story that supports it, it doesn't work. So mission is to connect with my people and create something beautiful together.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. But that story by itself just sounds very you know, happy rainbows and like but not it doesn't have
Exactly.
substance to it. Like you need a story so
Yeah.
that people are like, oh yeah, I get it. I see what he means, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would the mission work with a solid backstory and story, just like
Yeah, I
this
think it'll
really
work. Yeah.
vague? Okay.
Yeah, I think the mission itself will work. I like the mission. I personally like it when mission is really simple, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like not too complex. But I think it's what backs up that mission is more important for me. What is the story that back? Like, how did you arrive there to that
Hmm.
mission is more important. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see something there. I see something where um maybe something about wanting to work with because you happen to be the type of see like most of us in our community work with entrepreneurs. So our clients are the business owners, sellers, and things like that, right? But you happen to be working in a industry where you work for another creative. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Or
So it's
agencies.
yeah. So well, even if you work with agency, you're ultimately working with a photographer who's a
Yeah.
creative, right? So when you do that, I think it's important that those two people like see eye to eye, right? They see the same vision and things like that. Otherwise it's just, what are we doing here? It's just like it's kind of like the difference between like um I guess I can't think of an example, but like like two figure skater or something, like doing something together, right? Versus like a factory where like one person, like, because like here I'll give you a good example. At our agency, um, our developers get involved in day one of the project. So most agencies, the way they do it is the designers, copywriter gets involved. They do all the creative work first, and then the developers get involved later, and they just code the design and make it turn it into a website, right? But at our agency, what we do is the developers get involved day one, and they work in parallel together with the designers and copywriters. And what happens is when you work in parallel like that, there's combination of those things, something that happens together there that two separate people in silos, it would not have happened. For example, like when I say give specific details, this is what I mean. For example, the developer might look at that and be like, oh shit, like is that what you guys are trying to do? Actually, we can do an animation like this that that and then that'll and we can grab the user's live data and do something like this. And then the designers be like, oh shit, like, okay,
Mm.
how about this? Let me design, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when
Would
they're
save
actually in the
time
same room,
and
yeah, working together, and that's 10x, not just 1 + 1 designer
yeah.
plus one working separately combined. That's too, right? But when they work together like that, it 10x's it. And I just gave you like a specific example of why that's important when the two right people get together, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something like that.
So the big story could be something along those lines in terms of, are you trying to do something purposeful with a purpose? So are you trying to solve a problem at the root?
Well, don't
Or
go
do-
into the sales message yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a whole nother week where we talk about sales messages, which I think is
Okay.
a little bit different than your brand story. I think what your brand story wants to do, the goal is when the photographers read that, right?
Mhm.
Or when you're saying on the video or when you're meeting with the photographer and you say that story, the photographer is like, this is my guy, right?
Mhm.
Versus that corporate photographer who doesn't care about any of that is gonna be like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's how you differentiate, you know. Do you understand what I mean? Because
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
yeah.
tell that story of like how the developers and designers work together,
Yeah.
there's gonna be people whose eyes light up.
Yeah.
And then there's gonna be people who's gonna be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
This is
Because
how
it
you
means
know.
also more effort from their side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. They're gonna be like, oh, I don't need that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So dig in a little bit to that. Like see if there's like an example stories of when you work with the photographer that was such a good match
Hmm.
that and an example of what happened because of that, right? Or something like
Yeah.
that.
And I already
That,
have that.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
probably
perfect.
the backstory one is the one that I should spend a bit more time on. Yeah.
Well, yeah, work on it and then post it on Circle and then I'll give you feedback.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I
Sam.
hope this was helpful. I know we didn't get to the
Yeah.
end, but yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks.
We'll get there eventually. Thanks,
Thank you.
Marco. Bye. Okay. Hope that was like a kind of this is a kind of thing that's you know, sometimes we had to kind of walk around the path to really find it. But I feel like he's on his way there, and I think I really like where we're going with that. These are like my favorite kind of stories because, you know, it's the ones that are not obvious, but when you keep digging, and eventually it's like, oh, of course, that was it, something like that. But anyway, next we have Sohel. Hi, Sohel, are you there? Oh, let me try this again. Sohel.
Hi,
there you go.
Sam. Can you hear me?
Hey, Sohel, yeah, I can hear you now. Welcome, good to see you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Actually, I'm from Pakistan. My name is Sohail Bhavani, and I'm a coach. I do one-on-one and also with couples. My focus is on trauma recovery, basically, and I use inner child work and shadow work, sort of to coach people to come out of trauma.
Awesome. Okay,
That's
so
what
what do you want to talk about today?
Actually, I was pretty confused about where to start with, because I've seen some of your stuff, and I'm an overthinker. So the question is, how should I get a consistent client base? Because I've been working since 3 years, and
How do you
my
currently get your
clients are.
clients?
So it's like I've done this completion process certification, and they have this website, and I have a profile on that website. And so people read my profile. I have a story there, and then people approach me. So it's like every 1 month or 2 months I get one client, but it really depends where they come from. So I'm lucky that I it's like I've been getting some clients, but they are not regular.
And when you get a client, usually is it like a certain duration package, or is it like a one time kind of thing?
Yeah. So it depends on the client. If client can pay, I have a package. So earlier I had
You have
package of
both.
5, 10, 20. Yes.
Got it.
But then I've
So
listened
this,
to your,
go ahead.
so I've revised my package. So now I have coaching
Okay.
plans. So 1 month coaching
Yeah.
plan, 3 months, and 6 months. So after
Okay, good.
listening to you, I've revised and I've doubled my
Yeah.
prices, and people are sort of willing to pay.
Awesome. Yeah, no. Yeah, keep it there. And then in a few months, double it again. But anyway, right now, what I want to say is so from that website where it's like a directory of all the certified coaches,
Yes.
right? Like, do other coaches there also get this about the same amount of clients? Like, and also, is that where most of their clients come from?
In general, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
really? So
But
this is like a popular
yes.
platform.
It's not that popular. It's like let me tell you about this. The creator of this process. So the Teal Swan has created this process,
Okay.
and she's a spiritual catalyst. But it's a very marginalized process as compared to psychology and other psychotherapeutic sort of traditions. So it's like you can say that it's an outcast process. It's an inner child work, shadow work process, but not that popular.
But that's the place that people go to when they're looking for
Yes.
like inner child work. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how many of those people market themselves on their own outside of that organization?
Barely. There are few coaches who have sort of established themselves, but they are not on that portal. They are doing it independently. But in general, I haven't seen people marketing themselves, in a very systematic way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you trying to now shift? Are you trying to market yourself so that you get clients through social media
Yes.
and things like that? Okay. So let's go into that then. So forget that. I don't think it's good to depend on. It's
Yes.
never good to depend on, one stream of income, right? Because like once that's gone, So let's think about this. What else have you tried?
So I've tried social media through
Okay.
Instagram.
Okay.
So I'm regularly posting on Instagram, and it's like people approach me for a discovery call, but they don't come. It's like in my part of the world, in Pakistan, people don't understand that kind of a stuff.
You
People
only
are
work
into this.
with Pakistani clients, or
No.
so you work with
So
you do it over Zoom, so you work with
yes,
anyone?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So it's
Continue.
like so most of my clients are from outside Pakistan
Okay. Good.
that I work with.
I mean, have you tried any running any ads or anything like that?
I've tried it twice, but I haven't gotten that results that I was looking for. Maybe because it requires you to very specifically define things, and I
What
haven't
kind of
been
ads have you
consistent
run?
with. It's like I've recently run an ad of my free masterclass on self-worth, for example, and I haven't received any even a query around that webinar.
Okay.
So I've tried
Did
to
you have like
focus
a
on.
page where they can register?
Yes.
So you had a page where they can
I
register, like
yes, Google form. I've developed that.
okay, and then you made what kind of ad was it? Was it a video ad? Was it a Facebook ad?
It
Was
was
it a
a
Facebook ad?
poster. It was an Instagram ad. So just a poster and
Oh, okay,
a
okay, got it,
story
got it, got it.
attached to that poster.
Got it.
A
Okay.
carousel.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Here's what we should do, right? I think first, before you start doing anything, you need like a really clear message, right? Because otherwise, doesn't matter. People find you. They're just not gonna care, right? Like, because here's the thing, right? Here's your brand message, right? And as you go out and find new people, like they're just gonna pass right by. Like if your brand message is not strong, it's not gonna stick, right? So first, I think you
Makes
need
sense.
that. So we need to
Oh.
keep digging into that. Oh, we'll get into that in a little bit. And then because like I think there's a series of things that you need to do. That's why I'm saying this. And I think the first step is that. So I want to talk about that today, okay? But then once your
Sure.
message is clear, once you have a clear, like convincing message, so convinced, like, so what is it exactly that you're selling? Like trauma, or like the inner child work, or like which?
Because to be honest, I'm confused on that too. So it's like it feels that I'm selling myself. That comes to my mind right now in this moment. Because it's like every
No,
other practitioner.
talk about the thing
Okay.
that you were talking about before, how they teach, right? What the importance of the inner child work and stuff like that.
Okay. So the basis of that work is that you connect with the emotion or the emotional trigger. The trigger that triggers you whenever a situation is there. For example, you board a plane and you're scared of boarding a plane, for example. So it triggers a certain kind of sensation within you. And
Okay.
this process allows you to connect with that sensation and complete feeling that sensation until it comes to a space where you feel kind of relieved.
Okay.
Yes.
And
So-
continue. Like, what does that have to do with your work?
It's like it allows you to come face to face with the part of you that you actually don't know, which is the cause of the trigger.
Okay,
Because
okay,
what
got
trauma
it.
does.
And that's the inner child work. That's what you call inner child work. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm just making stuff up now, but just to get through this part. So let's say you had a like really strong message, right? Where, hey, this is the inner child work. That's why you need to, and then a story that like you need some really good examples of something that, like, I mean, I think you just gave me one, right? Like, okay, so I'm trying to think of a good one, because it's different depending on who you talk to, right? Somebody that's having relationship problem, right? Maybe it's something like, oh, every time my wife says this, it triggers me, or something like that, or like whatever it is, like situation, like, and then draw those pictures for them, right? So when that's happening, the reason why that's happening is this, right? You're in that moment, inner child work. And then through inner child work, what happens is this. So you have to show them what success looks like, right? Like, once you're successfully done this, your life would change like this. Do you understand what I mean? So they know the clear benefits that they're getting, right? And then that has like, but let's say that you have a clear messaging that. So with the story, hey, my name is Sohail, this is what I do, and blah, 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 and that's why it's important. You have a clear messaging like that. Then the next step is, now you need to go out and figure out how to get people to that message, right? And when I say clear message, like, what I mean is you need like a home base, right? So if you're doing a free webinar, like, something has to sell that free webinar, right? So it can't just be a post. I think what I would do is I would do a video ad of telling this story, whatever it is, or maybe carousel or something like that, and I would probably post it on Instagram or Facebook ads, and then probably like do specific demographic targeting, right? So that I know that I'm reaching the right people. And then, so what I would do is I would try a few things. I would try that. I would try maybe posting a few YouTube ads, and then also try some Google AdWords for like people that are, because like the lowest hanging fruit is that, like, if there's somebody who's already knows what inner child work is and they're looking for specifically for that person, that's the best case scenario. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do. Like, let's say you bought, and this is like not even just to see for marketing. Let's say just to test out. Let's say you bought a few of these keywords, right? Like trauma therapy, inner child work, blah blah blah, whatever it is, right? And then people click those links and they came to your website where you're selling that message, your story, and all of that, and people are not buying. That means there's something wrong with your message. Because this is your direct audience. That's the audience that's saying, I want this. And if you can't sell them on that, then there's something wrong with your message. Like, I mean, I think, building a business is such like a, million trial and errors. Tiny little try and I'll try this. Oh, that didn't work. I'll try this. Try this. That didn't. I know. And think about it. Let's say you need to make million trial and errors. You have to make million mistakes in order to get to success. Let's say that's the number, right? And here, this person is sitting here doing everything carefully to not to make that mistake. Never running an ad, never doing anything, right? Versus here, this person's like every day just failing, just trying it out. Who do you think is going to get to a million first? Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how business works in a nutshell. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would do that. And so this is so I would run those testing just to see just to feel out the market, right? Okay, is there a market for this? Is this messaging resonating with the market? And then you need to price your pricing accordingly so that, okay, I know that if I invest $100 in ads, that's gonna return in a $300, $400 return or something like that. Then, like, I know I can scale this, right? Or something like that. In that sense, for people that are more or less looking for this type of work. Now, and I think that number, like, if you're running $100 of ad, I personally think if you're running it at like a low budget ads, I personally think that you should be able to get like 3x or 4x. Like, for every $100 spent, you should be able to make $300-400 back. Otherwise, it's I don't think it's really worth it. Because as you scale up, that number is going to keep going down. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Another thing is this. This is what I would do if I'm a therapist or coach or something like that. So I would put out a shit ton of content on TikTok. Like every day. You're in Pakistan, right? So TikTok is not banned there. Okay.
Not yet.
So I would post, like, I would create so many videos, short form videos, and just keep posting on Reels, TikTok, and things like that, right? Continuously post it. And then on Instagram Reels, like, continue to post, like, everything you can possibly think of, every little tip, every little advice, all of those things you can think of, right? Or even like asking questions like, hey, I would even do things like this. Hey, are you, like, does this ever happen to you like that? You're doing something and then all of a sudden your spouse says this, and it all of a sudden, like, it triggers you and something goes off, or maybe a friend said to you this, and for some reason, like, that really hurt your feelings, or whatever that is. Like, are you feeling that way? That's because of this. And if you want to know more about it, go to my stories or send me a DM or something like that. Like, what I would do is every day I would send people to my stories. Like, continuously send people to my stories, keep answering questions. And, like, my mission, like, for the next year, if I'm just starting out as a coach, my mission in the next year, I only have one thing in my mind, is to whoever looks at my content, trying to help them in whatever way I can, right? Like, mentally, like in the like, in the advice I give or whatever it is, just asking questions, asking the right questions and things like that, right? And keep doing that and keep driving people to my stories. And what's going to happen is, and then I would continue a dialogue with my audience like that. So like right now I've been really busy, so I haven't been doing it. But when I was really active on Instagram, like I would keep posting and I would keep going on stories and I would keep asking questions and boom. And because I keep also posting things on stories, people would DM me through the stories. Be like, oh, what did you mean by that? Oh yeah, I'm dealing with that problem. Oh, you said about that thing about your, like your friend making you feel that way. I have that exact problem. Like, can you tell me more about that? Like, then what happens is, so when you put out content and you post on stories, it starts starting a dialogue with the audience on DMs. And that's how every coaching call should begin. Like naturally like that. Like any coaches that are not doing it this way, like you're losing out big time. Because I think I think the way a lot of coaches do it is they're like, oh, they put out content, blah, 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 and most of them are not even educational. And then they post something like, oh, book a one-on-one call with me, like, blah, 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 like, oh, book a discovery call, but like that doesn't make me book a discovery call at all, right? That just sound like, remember I told that story from like what's his name? That one like marketing guy, I forgot his name. But the story of like how, the person who's keep nagging you, knocking on your door, and then finally you're like, what is it? And he's like, oh, there's a fire in your lawn, right? Like at that moment, that guy just went from like an annoying pest to a very valuable person, right? So depending on the situation, like I feel like when the coaches do that, I'm just gonna unfollow them or something, because I just feel like, oh, this person keep nagging me to book a discovery call with them, right? But then if a coach never does that, but keeps putting out content that's interesting to me, and I am DMing them, asking them, oh, what did you mean by that? Now I'm starting the conversation. It's not that you're triggering the sale. Now I'm asking you, right, for help. And then when you start, it's like, oh, and then what I'll do is I'll answer them on the DM, right? And then I'll say, after maybe like I answered them some basic questions, if you want to book a discovery call here, I can talk to you about it further or something like that. Boom. And that's how I would try to funnel in everyone. Do you know what I mean? Because then it's natural. You're not selling it. They're approaching you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's really the best way to do it. Yeah.
Sounds good. Right now, what I'm doing, I'm just doing posts, and I'm not directing them towards my story. I'm not doing stories at all. So
no, you have. If you're a coach, stories is where you should be living. Stories and DMs is where you should never be selling through your feed. The only thing you should be doing in your feed is bringing people to your stories. And then the only thing you're doing in story is getting them to DM you. Oh, hey, you want to know more about this? DM me. Oh, hey, like if you have questions about this, DM me. Get them to DM you. And then the sales happen in the DM. Do you understand what I mean?
So I understand the process, but the thing that is not clear to me, that what will be the difference between the post and the story? So it's like the post should be a question, and it's like, then what's the connection between the two?
Like in the post, I would just keep saying, like, if you want to know more, like follow me or go to my stories, or like whatever I can do to drive people to my stories, I would do that. Because like in Instagram, there's a different level of connections, right? So there's like the strangers post that you see, and there's the people you follow, and then within the people that you follow, there's the people that you interact with more, right? And then from there, like that the people you have watched their stories, and then from there, people that you have DM'd with. Okay, so there's different levels of relationship being built within Instagram. They're not all the same. Like selling to this person is not the same as selling to this person. And the goal is to try to get them one step one step to here, one step to here.
Yeah.
Not like sell right here. Then you're just losing them right here. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. I'm getting it.
Yeah. So and the type of content I think you should make is just like every day, write out every possible case scenario where people struggle with this. Where about to go on an airplane, that feeling, right? About to go on the stage, right? Like every possible scenario where people, and then break it down. Okay, here's a scenario, like, and each one of your TikTok, each one of your Instagram reels should be that. Hey, does this ever happen to you? You go on a plane, you sit down, you thought you're going to be fine, but you're like this, your palms are sweating all the way until the plane lands, and then now you're safe. Like, right? That's because of this. If you want to know more about it, come to my stories. And then you can be like, oh, does this ever happen to you? You go on a first date, you meet or you go into a networking party, and like just come up with so many and just keep doing that. Because somebody's gonna resonate with it. And they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that happens to me. And from there, your goal is to get them to the next level. Get them to comment on your post and you reply to them. And then next, get them to watch your stories. And then next, get them to DM you. You got to build that relationship up. And then eventually that person will become your client.
Makes sense. Very clear now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sun.
And I replied to your story that you posted, which
Yes,
I
I just saw that.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
So keep working on that also. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for this support. You're doing amazing work because I really admire the way you support people, and it's like,
oh yeah,
like out of
it's
the
my
way.
pleasure, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your story. Bye, Sohail. Okay, that was awesome. That was awesome because I think it's like one of those things where, because sometimes like people come and it's like the puzzles fit exactly perfectly well, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes when it doesn't, it's actually better because like it shows you like my real thought process, I think. So I want to answer this question. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat. I just see only one question here, which I'm going to answer, which is, can a brand be successful with an anonymous founder? For people that don't want to come out on camera. So for this, I want to say, so if you look at Banksy, right? There are some artists out there that are famous and you don't know their face. They're just kind of behind. Or like a lot of film directors, right? They're not really like in front of the camera. You don't really see them, but they're well known and things like that. So I think if the work that you make is so great, so exceptional, I think you can do that. But as time goes by more and more and more because of social media, what's going to happen is if you have a personal brand with a face and voice and things like that, it's going to be 10 times easier for you to build a brand than just doing it with a logo. It's going to be 10 times faster because people tend to trust humans much faster than trust logos, right? But that doesn't matter. If you're an exceptional director, if you're an exceptional artist, if you're an exceptional programmer, if you're exceptional at what you do, I don't think it matters. Okay, thank you so much. That's it for today. Thank you for staying. Starting next week, we're actually gonna not do it live. We're gonna pre-record it and then upload it because when we do live, I think it's harder for people to find it later. So we're gonna upload it, but we'll still do like a live premiere, so you guys we can go in there and we can still chat and stuff like that. So see you guys next week. If you're a member and you wanna come on the podcast, you can DM Gigi or you can on Circle. You can apply to be on the podcast if you have any questions or anything like that. And that's it. See you. Bye.